The Boston Celtics have one of the best young teams in the NBA, but questions about Jayson Tatum's leadership and superstar ability remain. The two-time All-Star, along with his partner in crime, Jaylen Brown, is part of the youthful core that the Celtics aim to develop around. However, with the recurring debate in the NBA over whether the tandem of Tatum and Brown improves the players around them, it's becoming clear that the team may be better off without one of them. Tatum's contract expires in 2026, but the criticism leveled at him, including doubts about his heart and leadership, could be the catalyst for him to leave town. That is still a long way off, but what offers would entice Celtics President of Basketball Operations Brad Stevens to part ways with Tatum? Here are three that would astound the NBA and possibly the entire globe. First up, Anthony Davis. If the Boston Celtics wouldn't trade Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown when Anthony Davis was attempting to force his way out of New Orleans, why would they now? For one thing, Davis was nearing the end of his contract, and then President of Basketball Operations Danny Ainge wasn't about to give up Tatum or Brown for a rental after Davis made it plain that he wanted to play in Hollywood or any other city other than Boston. With Davis now an NBA champion and a couple seasons of playing alongside LeBron James, there are some whispers that the Lakers may want to part ways with him.
Shooting just 40%. AD out of the timeout. You said it on Dwayne Wade. It was very
or at least listen to offers. NBA insider Mark Stein dropped this quote by saying, "They had the worst 6 seasons in franchise history before they got LeBron, and who knows? It could be equally bumpy when the LeBron AD era is over. I think that's why you've kind of started hearing, and it's all very speculative. I want to stress that I've heard nothing to this effect." But you do start to hear that. People are asking the question, will they trade AD before his contract runs out so they don't end up in that position? The Celtics would certainly consider trading Anthony Davis if the asking price was a deal centered around Tatum. Finally, they'd acquire a dominant big man who could have the same influence on the franchise as Kevin Garnett did in 2008, if he bought in. With championship experience under his belt, combining Davis with Jaylen Brown and possibly a prize free agent signing could usher in a new Big Three era in Boston that no one saw coming. Davis, much like Garnett, would have to buy into the idea of being a Celtic and bleeding green. For Tatum, joining the Lakers would allow him to not only play alongside LeBron James, but also follow in the footsteps of his childhood idol, Kobe Bryant. As unpleasant as it would be for the Celtics fans to see Tatum flourish with purple and gold, this potential blockbuster would add another chapter to this classic rivalry, shocking the NBA world. Next up, Zion Williamson. Would you do it if you were the Boston Celtics President of Basketball Operations Brad Stevens and the New Orleans Pelicans were shopping star power for Zion Williamson and the asking price was Jayson Tatum? The first question is why the Pelicans would consider parting ways with Williamson. That is precisely what happened to Anthony Davis. It may or may not come to the point when Williamson is forced to leave New Orleans. While the New York Knicks look to be at the top of his wish list in such a scenario, Boston is such a large market location where the young, budding superstar may thrive, but there is a risk. Despite his brilliance, Williamson's stature at 6'6" and 317 pounds has already rendered him as an injury risk. Nonetheless, he is a force to be reckoned with who can score from wherever on the court and whenever. With his toughness and playmaking abilities on both sides of the floor, he also improves the players around him. He's a little younger and, much like Tatum, is a game changer on both sides of the court when he's engaged and his shots are falling. Again, a significant risk given Williamson's injury history in the NBA, but the rising talent is one to keep an eye on in case things go south with Tatum and his happiness in Boston. It's not a move worth contemplating this season, but both young superstars may crave and require a change of scenery in the future. To summarize, a trade of former Duke stars would surely shake things up for the Celtics, but it would also send shivers around the NBA, to say the very least. And finally, Luka Doncic.
They're not making threes. Spins underneath, Luka!
Given the one criticism Boston Celtics icon Robert Parrish leveled at both Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, if the Dallas Mavericks are forced to part ways with Luka Doncic, the franchise should surely offer up Tatum. As Parrish noted, Tatum and Brown have a lot of talent, but they don't improve the guys around them like Larry Bird did in the 1980s. It's a different game in a different era now, but the one rising superstar that bears the most resemblance to Bird is undoubtedly Doncic, who can shoot while also dazzles opposing teams with his playmaking abilities.
10 possessions. We go under a minute. Doncic.
Over the previous several seasons, he's developed into a Celtics killer. If you can't beat a player, get him on your squad, as the saying goes. Doncic, who averages 25.2 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 8.7 assists per game, is a triple-double machine who would bring a new dynamic to the Celtics. To get Brown to Boston, a trade for Tatum and possibly some other assets would be required, which is why he would not be considered. Brown, on the other hand, would fit better with Doncic than Tatum because he's more of a slasher and now a spot-up shooter who could significantly benefit from Doncic's playmaking skills. All three of these trades may be considered fantasy at this point, but players, particularly superstars, drive the NBA. If they are unable to deal with their existing circumstances, they are capable of forcing their way out. Well guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Top NBA, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a video. We'll see you guys next time.